get into our yoga, first I want to take a moment to show you some of the props that I like to have handy. A canvas strap is the most important one for me, and a couple different sizes of yoga blocks, a couple different sizes of pillows if possible, and I like to have also a couple different sizes of bolsters. These supports are used to allow a maximum relaxation in a restorative practice. Also, the blocks can be utilized to essentially bring the floor up closer to you. We're starting in Savasana, setting our intentions for this practice. Focus on what you want to bring into your life and what it is that you are needing to let go of in order to create the space to allow that change and shift. Relax into your Savasana while setting your intentions. Continue to remain in Savasana, allowing yourself to let go of all of your worries and all of your concerns. Let go of your stress from the day, from the week, the month, the entire year. Give yourself permission to be stress-free. Slowly rotate your head and neck to the right. Deep breath. And then back to neutral. And then to your left side for another deep breath. And then back to neutral. Stretch out long, reaching your hands overhead, point your toes, rotate your ankles. Then hug in your right knee. You can engage your foot, flex your heel, rotate the ankle, point your toes some more. Continue hugging that knee. Pay close attention to the micro movements and the compression in your right hip socket. Breathe into it. Then you can reach for your strap, get the canvas to go across the ball of your right foot, and then straighten out your leg, keeping that knee bent slightly if you wish. Always good to soften the knees. You don't want to hyperextend. Maybe pull that leg just a little closer to your chest. And then we're going to swing the leg out to the right, continuing to hold the strap for a half straddle. We'll hold this for a couple of deep breaths. And release and set your strap aside, lowering your right leg back down to the mat. Hands overhead, stretching out long again, pointing the toes, rotating your ankles, before then hugging in your left knee. And again, you can engage your foot and ankle, flexing and pointing your toes, rotating your ankle. Continue hugging your left knee tightly. Again, pay attention to the micro movements. Focus on the compression in your hip socket. And then pick up your strap, placing the canvas across the ball of your left foot and straightening out that leg, holding it there, keeping that slight softened bend in the knee if you wish. Then pull the leg just a little closer to your chest, before then swinging that left leg out to the left with your strap for the half straddle on the other side. This is a really big stretch. We're going to hold here for several breaths. Relaxing into it. And then you can loosen the strap, lower your leg back down to the mat, and set the strap aside. Both legs are out straight, stretching long, arms up overhead, and then hug in both of your knees tightly. Try to touch your forehead to your knees if you want. Continue holding your right knee while lowering the left leg back down to the mat. We're going to hold there for a couple of breaths. And then we're going to place the right knee onto the floor or bolster across your body for the supine twist to the right. Arms are in a T. Stay in the supine twist, keeping your drishti over your right fingertips. You have an option to use your left hand to apply light pressure to your right knee if you wish. Just enjoy this stretch, focusing on the release in the small of your back. And then slowly turn your head to look the opposite direction for 2 full breaths. And then carefully turning the head and neck back to the right, relaxing your gaze over your right fingertips again. And then your head back to neutral. Coming out of this, you can lower the right leg back down to the floor, hug in both of those knees together again, getting your head and your neck towards your knees, rocking and rolling. Lower your right leg to the floor while continuing to hug in your left knee. We're going to hold there for several breaths. we're going to move the left knee across the body to place it on the floor or bolster on the right side for the supine twist on the other side. Arms are in the T again, keeping your drishti out. Arms are in the T again, keeping your drishti out over your left fingertips. Enjoy this release. And again, with your right hand, you can apply that light pressure to the left knee at any point if you wish. Just relax into this twist. And then slowly turn your head to the right, to the opposite direction. Hold there for a couple of deep breaths. And then back towards the left, looking out over your left fingertips again. And then back to neutral. Lower your left leg back down to the mat while coming out of this twist. Stretch your arms out long overhead. And then hug both knees once again, stretching your neck. You can rotate your ankles, engaging your feet, flexing the heels, pointing your toes. And now we're going to get into the reclined butterfly. You might want to utilize props under your knees or thighs. Arms are down by your sides, hands facing upward. Just surrender to your practice. And then glide your arms across the floor out to your sides, arching them overhead in a half moon to steeple grip. Hold that momentarily. And then glide your arms back down to your sides like butterfly wings. Hands or palms are facing up. Slowly stretch your arms out to your sides again. And then bringing them back up overhead into that half moon once more. Touching your fingertips to each other in steeple grip or prayer hands. Remain in the reclined butterfly. And here you can remove any props you might be using before getting into reclined tree pose. First, we'll straighten out the left leg while placing the sole of your right foot against the inseam of your left thigh as high as you can. Hands are still overhead in prayer hands or steeple grip, yogi's choice. Hold here for several breaths. And then simply switch out the sides by first straightening out your right leg and then placing the sole of your left foot high to the inseam of your right thigh. Arms can still be in prayer hands overhead or branching out, goalpost arms, steeple grip, however you're most comfortable. Then reach for your strap and get it to go across the balls of both of your feet for legs up the wall. Knees can be straightened or bent slightly. Again, keeping that softness in the back of your knee is usually ideal. You can pedal your knees, you can rock, you can wiggle, anything you wish. Walk it out. Continue to keep your left foot in the strap, keeping the canvas on the ball of the left foot while you remove your right foot and place the right ankle across your left thigh for reclined pigeon. Holding that there, you can bend your left knee slightly more as an option if you wish, or you can keep it straightened, or some of each, straightening and bending. And then we will switch out the feet, getting your right foot back into that strap and removing your left foot, placing the left foot across your right thigh for the reclining pigeon on the other side. Enjoy this stretch, and again, you have that option to bend the knee slightly, straighten it, or some of each. And then you can set the strap aside. Coming out of this, we're going to lay flat for 3 honey bumblebee breaths, placing your fingers on your closed eye, your index finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger, and your thumbs on your ear cartilage. Press your thumbs down on that tragus, closing off the airway to your ears, breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. We're gonna hum low pitch 3 times on the exhale. After that, get ready to turn yourself over. Slowly turn to the left or to the right, and then carefully turn yourself all the way over to lay prone onto your front side. You can rest your head on your hands, laying them on top of one another. Just take several breaths, preparing for another twist. We're going to come up onto our elbows and forearms into Sphinx. Hiking up the right knee out to the right side. Extending your right arm out in front of you. With your left arm, you can thread the needle, making any adjustments for this pose that you need to as you get into the supine twist once again. You might want to use a bolster or a prop to support your knee again. You can straighten out both of your arms, trying to lay your shoulders flat on the ground, arms in a T. And again, at any point, you can use your left hand to apply a light pressure to your right knee. Keeping your gaze out over your right shoulder, looking out towards your right fingertips. Feel the difference from the last supine twist, having gotten into this pose from an entirely different series of prompts and directives. Also take notice of any similarities along with those differences. And when you are ready, come out of the twist. You can rest your head on your hands stacked on top of each other once again. And then lifting your feet into the air, bend your knees and windshield wiper the feet and the calves back and forth from side to side. And then slow it down before lowering your feet back down to the mat. And then back up onto your forearms and elbows and hands into the Sphinx pose again. Hike your left knee up out to your left side. And with your left arm out in front of you, thread your right arm through the needle, shifting into the supine twist again. Same as the other side. You can adjust yourself so that both shoulders and arms are flat on the ground in a T. And again, you have the option to apply a light pressure with the right hand on your left knee, keeping your drishti out over your left shoulder and fingertips. Relax into this twist. Again, noticing any similarities and differences from the first supine twist and even from the other side. When you're done, you can unwind and then rest your head on your hands, again stacking them on top of each other. And this time in an exaggerated motion, really windshield wiper those feet and knees, loosening out the hips as well. And then slowing that down, you can lower your feet back down to the ground. And then send your hips back towards your feet to get into a wide knee child's pose. You can use a block, a bolster, or a pillow to rest your head or torso on. You're going to hold that position, really relaxing the torso, ragdolling the upper portion of your body, allowing gravity to do the work for you. Lean into it. And then when you're done, you can remove the prop if you have one. Coming up into a tabletop shape, Sphinx. On your elbows and forearms again. This time spreading your hands and your fingers out as wide as you can, holding that Sphinx pose tall. Before then, turning your right forearm to be parallel with the top of the mat. Reach back for your left foot with your left hand and hold this half bow pose for several breaths. And then if it's in your practice, you can take a minute here to attempt the full bow, getting each of your feet into each of your hands. You might want to use the strap to get this accomplished. whatever it is that you need to do if you're able to get into the full bow shape. If there's someone nearby, you can ask them to spot you. If it's too much, just do whatever modification that you're comfortable with, knowing that your level of flexibility changes. Sometimes it varies from day to day. You can use your breath and your diaphragm to rock yourself lightly, or you can remain still, or some of each. And then let go of your feet, resting your head onto your hands again, with one hand stacked on top of the other, and windshield wipering your feet again, really loosening out the hips. And then slow that down, lower your feet back down to the floor. And then the same thing on the other side, coming back into Sphinx, stretching your hands and fingers out as wide as you can, sitting up tall before then turning that left forearm parallel to the top of your mat, reaching back with your right hand to hold your right foot, engaging in this half bow for several breaths. And then just like on the other side, you can attempt the full bow if it's in your practice, using your strap, having someone spot you, whatever it is that you need to support yourself in this challenge of full bow. And again, you can use your breath and your diaphragm to rock lightly back and forth, or you can try to remain still, or a bit of both. And then when letting go of your feet, lower them back down to the mat. And again, send your hips back to sit on your feet into the child's pose. This time in a regular child's pose, knees touching. And while sitting on your feet, you can rest your head on a block. We're going to be here for a prolonged period. Take several breaths. Lean into it. And then we're going to walk or slide the hands and fingers to the right edge of the mat, reaching for the upper right hand corner, feeling that stretch across your lower ribs. And then hands and fingers back to neutral, sliding or walking the hands and the fingers to the left edge of the mat, reaching towards the upper left corner, focusing on the extension in the lower right ribs, and holding that for a couple of breaths before then gliding or walking the hands back to neutral. And again, really lean into this child's pose. And then slowly push your torso up, pressing your hands onto the mat. Coming up into a hero's pose, you can pause here. You might want to put a block or a pillow under your rear end. You can place your hands on your thighs, just remaining still. Take notice of the challenges of this seemingly easy pose. And then you can get prayer hands over heart, slowly rising your prayer hands overhead, and then lowering them back down, placing your hands back onto your thighs, before then coming up onto your knees into a widened stance. You can reach your arms behind you and getting your fingers intertwined into a bind. You can turn your hands and arms outward, exploring the limits of your flexibility with this. You might want to lean back slightly, pushing your arms up behind you. And you might want to bend forward, getting your forehead onto the floor and lowering your arms and hands to the floor over your head. Then coming back up carefully. Before then moving into a camel pose. You can lean back slightly, arching your torso. I like to use a bolster on the back of my calves or ankles. If you're very flexible, you might be able to reach your ankles. Any modification that you'd like for this heart opener. Breathing into that. And then as you come out of this shape, you can sit back onto your feet into the hero's pose once again, focusing on your breath. And when you're ready, swing your legs out around in front of yourself for staff pose. You can pile up some pillows and a bolster, or you could just use your canvas strap on the balls of your feet. Either way, we're going to ragdoll the torso over the legs, just releasing the weight of your torso. If you are on props, allow the props to support your weight entirely. We're going to relax into this for an extended period. Really lean into it. Envision tilting your hips towards your feet, towards your toes. Again, allow gravity to do the work for you. Focusing on easing your weight forward and trusting that gravitational pull to completely support you. When we're done, we'll remove the props and set them aside. Get your left leg stretched out long. Bring the right foot up high to the inseam of your left thigh. Reaching for the left toes and a side bend. Breathe into your stretch. Focus on relaxing into it. Again, trusting gravity to do the work for you. And then you can come up to neutral, getting into a wide straddle stretch, straightening out that right leg, leaning forward, maybe using the blocks out in front of yourself. Slowly we're going to transition, switching out to the other side, placing your left foot to the inner right thigh, reaching for the right toes in a side bend over the right leg, left hand over your right hand and foot, focusing on your breath, and again, just allowing gravity to do its magic, supporting you and keeping you safe. And then coming back up to neutral, stretch both legs out wide again for the straddle, leaning forward, reaching out in front of yourself. You might want to rest your forearms or forehead on a couple of blocks stacked up. If you do have your forehead resting on a block, focus on really leaning into this, allowing the weight of your head to be fully supported by the prop. And then we're going to come up and get into a seated butterfly, holding the soles of your feet together with both hands, allowing your knees to fall towards the floor, sitting up tall, and then mindfully bending your neck and head towards your feet as far as you can, before gently rising your head up slowly, envisioning a string being pulled from the top of your head, pulling it straight up into a perfect posture, and then twist your head from side to side, first to the right, and then neutral, then to the left, and back to neutral. Now you can stretch your neck down, rolling it out in small movements at first. You can turn your head back and forth like you're indicating a no. You can stretch your neck diagonally, bending it from side to side. If you want to move your head up and down as if acknowledging a yes. And if it's in your practice, you can do a full circle rotation with your head and neck in one direction, and then a full circle rotation to the other direction. And then bring your head up to neutral before shifting into the easy pose. Touching down to the mat with your left fingertips, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. You have an option here to use a light pressure with your right fingertips on the top of your head. And if you want, you can move the head slightly back and forth to gently massage out your neck muscles. then head and neck back to neutral. Reaching your right fingertips towards the mat, dropping your left ear to your left shoulder. And again, with that slight pressure with your left fingertips on your skull, and if you wish, moving the head and neck slightly back and forth for a nice little neck massage. And then back to neutral. Again, turn your head slowly from side to side, gently to the right. Hold. Back to neutral. And then slowly to the left. And pause. And then back to neutral. And now we're going to bring ourselves into that wide straddle stretch again. Leaning forward. You might want to use those blocks in front of yourself to rest your forehead on again. We're going to remain in this stretch for an extended period. Focus on your breathing. Filling up your lungs like balloons. And then deflating them, emptying out your lungs. Refilling them again with fresh air. Appreciate the oxygen traveling into your bloodstream to reach all of your muscles as you relax into this stretch. Then you can pick up a block into each of your hands and reaching out over the left foot, you can place one of those blocks on either side of your left foot to rest your hands on, or you can reach for your toes. And again, allowing gravity to assist you in your efforts, making this stretch just a breeze. Don't fight the gravity. Then pick up the blocks, place them out in front of yourself, leaning forwards momentarily, before then picking them back up to place on the other side, either side of your right foot. And again, you can reach for your toes, or you can rest your hands on the blocks. Breathing deep and allowing gravity to do its magic. Letting go of all your stress. And then come back to neutral. Set the blocks aside. Our next pose will be bending our right knee over our left leg, extended out straight, twisting to the right, gazing to the back of the room. Your right hand or fist is on the floor behind you. Your arm is supporting your torso. Using your left elbow to leverage on the right knee, you can rest your drishti as far back as you can on that back wall. And then slowly turn your gaze, turning your head and neck to be looking out towards the front of the room. And again, slowly returning your gaze, rotating your head and neck to the back of the room, all while continuing to leverage that left elbow on the right knee. And then when we come out of this twist, we'll simply switch sides, bending the left knee over the right leg extended out straight. Left hand or fist is on the floor behind you, gazing out over your left shoulder towards the back of the room and leveraging with your right arm or elbow across the left knee. And then slowly turning your head and gaze over to be looking out over your right shoulder towards the front of the room. And then slowly returning your drishti, and you're rotating your head and neck to be looking out towards the back of the room over your left shoulder again. Continuing to leverage that right elbow on the left knee. And then back to neutral. And next we're going to hold the soles of our feet together, getting into this butterfly pose once more, pressing the knees towards the floor, sitting up tall, and then slowly and carefully bending your head and neck towards your feet. And then again, imagine that string being pulled from above, from the top of your head as you come back up. In perfect posture, and then gently turn your head to look out over your right shoulder. And then slowly back to neutral, and then carefully rotating your head and neck to be looking out over your left shoulder. And then back to neutral. And now we're going to get our legs into cow face and then Lord of the Fish. First, we're going to bend the right knee over the left knee that's also bent, stacking them on top of one another for cow face. Holding each of your feet in each of your hands, sitting up tall. You can use your thumbs to press into the arches of your feet, giving yourself a nice, gentle foot massage if you like. And then we're going to turn all the way to the right with your right arm behind you, your left elbow leveraging against the right knee, looking towards the back of the room. Appreciate the power of this twist. Then turn your head to the opposite side slowly and carefully to be looking over your left shoulder. And then rotating your head and neck to be looking out over your right shoulder again. And then back to neutral. Now you're going to straighten your legs out in front of yourself for a staff pose, reaching your arms out wide to the sides and then arching them in a half moon, reaching up towards the sky. You can interlace your fingers, binding your hands, turning them outward and reaching up as tall as you can before bending forward, reaching for your toes, noticing any tightness in your back, loosening, before then coming back up to neutral. And now we'll prepare to switch the legs for cow face on the other side. Your left knee goes over your right bent knee, holding your feet with each of your hands, sitting up tall. And again, you can massage those thumbs into the arches of each foot before then twisting to the left, right arm leveraging against the right knee, looking out over the left shoulder towards the back of the room. And then again, slowly turning your gaze to look towards the front of the room over the right shoulder. And slowly returning that gaze to be looking out over the left shoulder towards the back of the room again. And then head back to neutral. Coming out of this twist, we can return to the staff pose again, reaching your arms out wide to the sides, your legs out in front of yourself. Making that half moon arch, touching your hands overhead for steeple grip, reaching tall, and then leaning forward to hold your toes. Again, notice if you have tension in your back, any more or less than you did just a minute ago in the same stretch. And then as you come back up to neutral, transition into easy pose. Reaching your arms out to the sides and then up for the half moon arch. Touching your hands together for prayer hands before getting into cactus arms, preparing for eagle arms. From cactus or goalpost arms, get your forearms together with your right elbow over your left elbow, hands together, pushing your elbows slightly up and bending your head and neck down slightly. You have an option to slowly look up as high as possible, or you can just remain in this nice subtle pose with your neck down. If you're looking up, you can lean your head back slightly, pushing the eagle arms towards the sky. And if you do that, as you reach up, your arms will unpretzel naturally, and then reaching them back out wide to the sides, or just coming out of that eagle arms and then touching the ground before then arching the arms back up into another half moon. Touching those hands together overhead again before getting back into cactus, and then eagle arms again, this time with the left elbow over the right elbow, and again pushing the elbows up slightly, bending the head and neck down slightly. And again, you can maintain this pose, or you have an option to slowly rise your head and neck, looking up towards the ceiling, leaning your head back slightly, pushing your elbows and arms up, As they unpretzel, stretching your arms out wide to the sides, or just unpretzeling your arms and reaching out wide to the sides before then touching the earth. Once again, reaching out wide and up into one more half moon arch, getting into steeple grip, sitting tall. And then we're going to do a simple twist to each side while lowering your arms down. Your right hand can go behind you, your left hand on your right knee. And then lift your right arm up as high, straight up to cross over the left arm, reaching for the left knee with the right hand. The left hand can then go onto the floor behind you before then raising that left arm straight up high to reach over the right arm, holding your right knee with your left hand, coming back to neutral, and then you can hug your knees lightly in this basket shape. And here you have an opportunity to get into the boat pose. I like to hold my hands under my legs first for a slightly modified boat pose before then getting into the more traditional boat pose with your arms parallel to the ground. You also have an option here to use the canvas strap across the balls of your feet if the boat pose is too challenging for you, or if you just feel like taking it easy today. Try it with the canvas strap. You might want to scissor your legs for a moment to get an additional benefit for your core strength in the boat pose. I usually do this for a moment, slowly lowering my feet and legs down to the ground and then raising them, scissoring them. And then when you're done, you can lay down flat on your back, stretching out long, arms overhead, before placing both feet flat on the floor, planting your feet, knees bent. You might want to hold a block or a pillow in between the knees and possibly another on each side of yourself. Allow your knees to fall to the right. Arms are in a T. We're going to hold this stretch for several breaths, focusing the gaze out over your left fingertips. Slowly you can rotate your head to be looking the other direction over your right shoulder. And then slowly rotate your head back again to be looking over your left shoulder before allowing the head and neck to go back to neutral. You can bring your knees up to neutral. And then allow your knees to simply fall to the left, arms still in a T, gazing out over your right fingertips. And then after several breaths, we'll slowly turn the head to look out over your left shoulder. setting your gaze over your left fingertips, and then slowly turning your head back to be looking out over your right fingertips. And then back to neutral. Knees back to neutral. You can remove any props and hug in both of your knees, bending your head and neck towards your knees. You can engage your feet, flexing your heels, pointing your toes, rotating the ankles. Then we're going to plant both feet firmly on the mat again, raising your right leg straight up high, crossing your right knee over your left knee, and then simply allow your legs to fall to your right. Your arms are still in a T. Gaze is out over your left fingertips, and we're gonna hold for several breaths. This is my absolute favorite, the grand finale, my favorite of all the twists. And then as you bring your knees to neutral, you can uncross, hug your knees to your chest again, rocking and rolling. And then firmly planting both feet back onto the mat again for the other side, lifting your left leg up high to cross it over the right knee, allowing the legs to fall to the left. Arms are in the T with your gaze out over your right fingertips. Enjoy this final twist. And then release your knees back to neutral. Hug in both knees again. One more time, rocking and rolling. And then if you would like to, you have an option here for the happy baby. You can rock the baby, maybe alternating, straightening and slightly bending each knee. Coming out of that form, you can lay flat before then reaching for a block for supported bridge. Plant both feet firmly on the mat again, lifting the hips, sliding a block under the small of your back on its lowest level, maybe on the medium level. Relax into your supported bridge. And then while still on the block, you can reach for your strap, or you can do this without the strap. For legs up the wall, you can get that canvas to go across the balls of both feet, and we'll get into the legs up the wall. You can walk it out, pedaling out your legs, slightly bending and straightening each knee. when you're done, you can set the strap to the side, remove the block, and if it's in your practice, there's an option here for a shoulder stand in the plow. Take a minute or two to do these, or yogi's choice, any stretch that you wish. Or you can feel free to get into Savasana early and we'll meet you there. Should you be in your shoulder stand, you might want to point your toes tall. You might want to bend a knee, scissor your legs, any movement that you're inclined to do before then transitioning into the plow. And then when you're coming out of the plow, slow and controlled with your chin tucked, try to roll down one vertebrae at a time onto the mat, as controlled as you can be before relaxing into the Savasana. Remembering the intentions that you set at the beginning of this practice. Thank yourself for taking the time out of your day to focus on you and your well-being. Think about any activities or actions that you can take to make that transition of bringing more into your life of what you need and eliminating and reducing what you don't need. Meditating on this, there might be some activities that you can do that you can think of, or not, just meditate. As we bring the awareness back into the room and back into our bodies, you can either roll to one side or the other before then slowly and carefully pushing yourself to sit up. Or if it's comfortable for you, you have an option here with your chin tucked to just come up onto both elbows behind yourself, slightly rocking, and then straightening out both arms behind you and transitioning into the easy pose. Or if you are on your side, pushing yourself up, we will meet you in easy pose. Place your left hand on the right knee. Right hand is on the floor behind you, lightly twisting to the right, and then lifting your right arm up high, crossing your right arm over your right hand onto your left knee, and then reaching your left hand behind you for a light twist, and then lifting that left arm up and over the right arm to then be holding your right knee with your left hand, And again, you can lightly hug yourself into this basket shape. And then hug yourself in as tightly as you can, constricting to make yourself into as small of a seed or a ball as you are able. Trying to take up as little space as possible before then releasing, stretching your arms out wide to the sides into a star shape, and then placing each hand onto each of your knees, touching the pointer fingers to the thumbs. We're gonna breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, chanting Om 3 times in a low pitch on the exhale. And then stretching the arms out wide again for another half moon arch, bringing the arms up overhead into prayer hands. And then to acknowledge your insight and wisdom, touch your thumbs or your knuckles to your third eye on the way to hands over heart. And then reaching those arms out wide once more for one last half moon arch. Prayer hands overhead. Slowly lowering the prayer hands to hands over heart, to then bow, to close and seal the practice. And so it is. Thank you for practicing with me today. Be well and enjoy a very blessed rest of your day. And don't forget to drink your water.